We are 6 days away from training camp. 6 mind-boggling, head-scratching, chin-scratching, whatever you want to call it, things. 6 days away. Let's go inside the locker room, baby.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the locker room on YouTube. You know what it is. Let's get it. Hey. Locker room. Yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk. Yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize every angle's what we really do. We the source.
So we are 6 days away from the start of training camp, and there are 6 things when it comes to the AFC South that are somewhat mind-boggling to me. Now, some people would say chin scratching. Some people would say head scratching. Who the hell really scratches their head? You're scratching your chin usually, right? Put your hand on the chin. But there are 6 things about the AFC South. And I'm going to start with 2 things right here in Houston. It is the locker room, #1 source for Texans daily digital content. I'm Landry Locker. You can hear me Monday through Friday, 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 610 and the Odyssey app. Going to be on the field at training camp. This channel's been going for 10 months. Always enjoy talking Texans with you, localizing, criticizing, analyzing, all that type of stuff. This is the #1 source for digital content. We got the #1 source for radio content from 10 to 2 on the Odyssey app. So subscribe right along. If you're a Texans fan, if you just want to get a pulse of what's going on, we got you. Talk to players, talk to owners. We are in the mix. We are connected. We're at every single game from the tailgates all the way to the actual locker room. And then we come in this locker room and we got the post-game show for you. So subscribe, like, right along. Appreciate you for rolling through. Let's start with assumption number 6. And we're going to start with 2 Texans, and then we're going to take our eyes off our own paper and talk about other teams and other things that, not necessarily saying that they're the craziest things that I've heard, but there might be too much of a majority assumption when it comes to some of these things that are being said. Let's start with number 6. The 2 second-year Ps, Dameon Pierce and Jalen Pitre. I like both of these guys, but are too many people assuming that Dameon Pierce is just going to be this top 10 running back in the league, unquestioned #1 guy, and that last year is just a sign of better things to come, and that Jalen Pitre is going to be some all-pro caliber safety? I think both of these guys are going to be pivotal pieces for the Texans moving forward. But I'm hearing Laramie Tunsil say Jalen Pitre is a top 5 safety. I'm hearing everyone in the world, everyone this side of Mississippi, say that Jalen Pitre is the most underrated player in the league. If everybody thinks you're underrated, you can't be that underrated. There's still going to be some sophomore struggles with these guys. And we've seen crazier things. Hell, last year we were talking about how good the rookie class was the year before, and they all completely flopped. I like the second-year class, but maybe we are assuming too much when it comes to the 2 second-year Ps. Just a thought. Next assumption number 5. We're counting down. Bobby SLOWIK is going to be awesome. Look, we've been in offensive hell for a long time. Ever since Gary Kubiak left, you had Bill O'Brien, never had a top 10 scoring offense, never had a top 10 yardage offense. It was a disaster. He was a football idiot. Deshaun Watson was often the lipstick on the pig. The defense carried him to his early division titles, and then it was just Deshaun Watson saving all butts and doing stuff off of script. Then you had Tim Kelly, who was a Bill O'Brien clone who followed him around for 6 years. Tim Kelly wasn't anything to write home about, but he was better than Pep Hamilton, who was the worst of all last year. And it was obvious why Pep Hamilton went as long as he did without being an offensive coordinator. The question of last offseason was, what the hell was a Pep Hamilton offense? The answer was it sucked. So now Bobby SLOWIK's coming to town. And Bobby SLOWIK is from that pipeline that we like, that offensive pipeline that we've seen successful all around the league in different areas and different styles. Only thing is this: we've never seen Bobby SLOWIK call plays. We don't know what that's going to be like. We know he's a film guy. We know he's a good resource for Kyle Shanahan. And we know that Kyle Shanahan's one of the best offensive minds and one of the best coaches in the league. But we've seen guys who've been understudies of good offensive minds and good coaches or good defensive minds either, and they haven't been able to do anything. I'm optimistic about Bobby SLOWIK. I think Bobby SLOWIK could be great. I like listening to Bobby Slowik at the podium. But assuming that he's going to be awesome, are we sure about that? Now let's take our eyes off our own paper. It's one of the lessons that I learned early in my career. Keep your eyes on your own paper. Now, anyone who knows me knows that I don't necessarily always follow that, which is why I'm going to take my eyes off my own paper as we go through the next 4 head scratching, chin scratching, or mind-boggling assumptions in the AFC South. And we're going to the old Oilers, the Tennessee Titans. I know that running backs eventually fall off. They eventually hit a wall. I keep hearing people say that Derrick Henry is going to wear down. Derrick Henry's gonna die down. Running backs wear down. And eventually you're going to be right. It's the Tom Brady thing. I think the last 7 years of Tom Brady's career, I said Father Time's going to catch up to him. Eventually I was right, but he pimp slapped Father Time. Is Derrick Henry going to be playing as long as Tom Brady? No, but he's 28 years old. Adrian Peterson rushed for nearly 1,500 yards when he was 30. And I keep hearing Derrick Henry lumped in with all the running backs of the past. Tell me how many of those running backs are built like Derrick Henry. 6'4", 245, 250 pounds, whatever the hell he is. Tell me how many running backs are built like that. And it's not like Derrick Henry. He doesn't have the Dameon Pierce running style and the running style that a lot of guys have where they want that they seek out punishment and they seek out pain. Derrick Henry wants to run around you. Now, if you get in his way, you might get choke slammed WWE style, but Derrick Henry wants to run around you. Is it possible that Derrick Henry's just built a little bit different and he's not going to wear down like many people assume? He's coming off 1,500 yards, 1,200 yards after contact. I think assuming that Derrick Henry is going to wear down is very, very dangerous. He might just be built different. Next assumption. Titans want or need to see Will Levis play. John McClain has said this to me on my show, In the Loop, Sports Radio 610 Odyssey app. Download that once again. Subscribe, like, all of that. That's the classic reset there. The Titans want or need to see Will Levis play. If the Titans thought that much of Will Levis, they wouldn't have passed on him with their first-round pick. You think they passed on C.J. Stroud with that pick? We don't know what C.J. Stroud's going to be, but we do know there were reports that they were looking to trade up for C.J. Stroud. They passed on Will Levis. They told you what they think of him. When they took him, it was basically just like all shucks, we might as well. Why not? They needed a backup quarterback. They had some very, very bad backup quarterback play last year, to the point where if they had a functioning backup quarterback last year, although Josh Dobbs did give good efforts at the end of the season, I don't want to take too much away from him. Malik Willis was a disaster. But if they would have had that, then they would have won the division. We'll get to that in a second. But this notion that they're like in a hurry to see Will Levis play, I disagree. I could see Ryan Tannehill going from the beginning of the end of this. They're not in a hurry to see Will Levis. They don't think he's like some sort of future franchise quarterback. If they thought that, they would have taken him in the first round. So this notion that Tennessee's just foaming at the mouth to get Will Levis in there, yeah, I don't buy that. Assumption number 2. Anthony Richardson and the Jalen Hurts comparison when it comes to Shane Steichen. Shane Steichen worked his magic with Jalen Hurts, so, you know, Anthony Richardson, same type of thing. I've heard some credible guys make this comparison. Jalen Hurts was much more polished than Anthony Richardson coming out of college. Like as far as having skills necessary to be an NFL quarterback. Now, he might have gone later on in the draft, but he played his way up to being a second-round pick. He didn't slide. Like there weren't people saying Jalen Hurts is going to go in the first round. He played his way up there, and he did so by staying at Oklahoma an extra year and developing. If look, Shane Steichen's probably the right guy for the gig, but acting like this is anything like the Jalen Hurts situation, I think it's asinine. I think it's silly. I think it's disrespectful to Jalen Hurts. Let's just look at some stats. Could I interest you in some stats? This is Jalen Hurts' senior year at Oklahoma. He had 69.7 completion percentage, 69.7%. His career completion percentage was 65. Anthony Richardson's career completion percentage was 55. He had 3,851 yards. He had 11.3 yards per attempt, 12.2 adjusted. And he had 32 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. And with his legs, he had 1,298 rushing yards, 20 freaking touchdowns. Good Lord, Jalen Hurts was awesome. He was the Heisman runner-up. But we're talking about 70% completion and 3,900 yards passing and 32 and 8, 1,298 and 20. Let's look at Anthony Richardson. 53.8%, career 54.7. So nearly 16% less completion percentage than Jalen Hurts. 2,549 yards, 17 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, just 654 rushing yards, 9 touchdowns. Sometimes it's okay to tuck it and run, especially if you're not throwing it well. I don't think that's a survival technique. I think that's a lack of instinct. There's some good highlights there. And there's uncanny athleticism. There's just no denying that. But comparing Jalen Hurts and Anthony Richardson, that's an insult to Jalen Hurts, quite honestly. We'll see what happens. But you tell me a guy's completing 55% of his passes, and then you're going to compare him to a guy who's a Heisman runner-up and completes 70? Yeah, I don't see the comp. It's okay to say that Anthony Richardson is like nothing we've ever seen before. Some people are making the Josh Allen comparison. He stayed an extra year too. He lost all his receivers. It's okay to say he's like nothing we've ever seen because we haven't. And if he does figure it out, it's going to be like nothing we've ever seen. It's not a Jalen Hurts comp. It's absolutely ridiculous. Does have some good stuff around him in Indianapolis, though. And that should be very, very interesting. Final assumption. And this one I think is a little bit over the top. The Jags are the class of the AFC South. I heard Cameron Wolfe say this. I love Cameron Wolfe. Shout out to Cam Wolfe, one of the best reporters in the NFL, U of H alum. It was good getting to see him fill in studio at Good Morning Football. I thought he did a hell of a job. But he said what a lot of people are saying, so I don't want to just single him out. The Jags are the class of the AFC South. Really? They went 9-8 last year. They backed into a division title because Ryan Tannehill got hurt. Trevor Lawrence looked like one of the worst quarterbacks we've ever seen in the first half of that Chargers game, and then the Chargers choked. Let's be honest, Chargers choked. And then they went toe-to-toe with Kansas City because Patrick Mahomes was on one leg. I like Jacksonville. I think Jacksonville could end up being the class of the AFC South. I also think we could prematurely be crowning them, much like the 2016 Houston Astros, who had a very young core, like Jacksonville, and they had a nice playoff run in 2015, and in 2016 they missed the playoffs, but then they got it together and figured it out. I could see that happening with Jacksonville. I think the bar's almost a little bit too high. That 11-win total that I saw in Vegas, that 11 over-under, would it be crazy to see Jacksonville start taking over? I guess not. But would it be crazy to see them kind of disappoint? Not really. Based on what we saw last year, not really at all. So I think that's a little bit crazy to call them the class of the AFC South. Resetting the question, subscribe, like, right along. Jags fans, Titans fans, Colts fans, tell me where I'm wrong. No shame in that. It's all fun. Little back and forth. Never hurt anybody. Assumption 6, the two Ps, Pierce and Petrie. Are we assuming too much? Number 5, Bobby Slowik's going to be awesome. Maybe, but it's not a guarantee. Assumption 4, Derrick Henry is going to wear down. I'm not jumping on that one. Assumption 3, Titans want to see Will Levis play. Assumption 2, Anthony Richardson, Jalen Hurts comparison is similar for Shane Steichen. And assumption 1, Jags class of the AFC South. Okay, whatever. Appreciate everyone for coming through. When it comes to this Texan stuff, we are all in this together. Appreciate y'all. We are 6 days away from camp, most magical time of the year. Football season is about to begin. Have a good one, everyone.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the Locker Room on YouTube. You know what it is. Let's get it. Hey. Locker Room. Yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk. Yeah, you know what we about to do. Localized. Every angle's what we really